Goodness.
he can attack with him.
What's up, guys? It's Connor from Geek on Your Face. Real quick before the video starts, we're going to get into it in just a couple seconds, but I want to tell you guys about a video that I put a lot of work into, and I'd really like you guys to watch, and I think that you'd enjoy it a lot. It's a trolling video for Yu-Gi-Oh! I went online and I trolled the crap out of some kid. He got really mad and it was funny, so you should probably go check the video out. There'll be annotation right now that you can go see the video, and one at the end of the video if you want to watch it later. So yeah, go check it out. It really mean a lot. Leave a comment, leave a like over there, and yeah. Hey guys, what's up? It's Connor from Geek on Your Face, and today for Yu-gi-oh Millennium Duels Best Decks, we are going over a burn deck. Now, before we get really started and what I'm going to do in the game and the tips and the cards and stuff, I'm just going to say to you guys right now, I know burn decks are frowned upon in the online community of this game, so I would suggest that you use this deck to help you clear through the story and unlock a lot of cards if you're still having trouble with that. I wouldn't use this deck online unless you want to get pretty extreme flame, as I did when I tested it out to see if it was halfway decent online. Not the most enjoyable experience, but you know, do it at your own risk, I would say. But anyway, let's get into the duel. You see I've set a couple trap cards down. I set Scrap Iron Scarecrow because it's a good card that lets you protect your monsters or give you an extra turn of setup when your opponent's just focusing on getting really big monsters out there. It really messes with their plans because you can keep reusing it a lot, which is really awesome. And your Wave Motion Cannon, that's going to be probably your biggest source of burn damage that you're going to get. So you want to set those down as early as possible. However, you do want to use the card in this deck, Judgment of Anubis. You usually want to have that in there to protect your Wave Motion Cannons. It's really important. Now you see Blast Sphere is in here. You're going to want to use Blast Sphere when your opponent attacks you with the biggest monster he has. That way you get the most damage out of it while getting rid of his big monster. It's very important that you use it on the correct monster. Des Koala is a little bit it's a little weird to have in here, I think, but it's really good if you're facing an opponent, just in case that their deck is focused on card draw. It can really give you a lot of awesome combos and stuff that you can work into your deck. Now I put down my second Wave Motion Cannon. They're usually good to have in tandem. Just Desserts here. Usually I wouldn't have used her right now, but it doesn't look like this duel is going to be lasting long enough for me to get the card that you're supposed to have with it, and I like to use Just Desserts comboed with Ojama Trio. That way you can load up their side of the field, power up Just Desserts, as well as lock off those zones because they can't be used for tribute summons, so they're basically like restricting monster zones. Now you see I summoned Lava Golem on his side of the field, which you don't want to do unless you have some way to protect it, like Scrap Iron Scarecrow or Nightmare Steel Cage like I have set up there. If you can have those things there, it's really good for getting rid of high level monsters on his side of the field, while also making a monster that's over there useless because he's unable to attack. And we're going into the second one. Obviously that was a pretty quick duel, as you're probably going to want to have with a burn deck. I get 2 Wave Motion Cannons to start off with. I think there's 3 in this deck. Probably should be running 3. And I also put down my Ojama Trio. You want to pop those as soon as you can usually, so that you restrict the zones. So it really helps keep your opponent from spamming special summons and stuff if their deck is focused on that. And it really limits what they can do on their turn. Stealth Bird is a great card though, because it allows you to really just focus on bringing in that damage every single turn, and it actually has good defense stats for what it does too. It's really useful. The only thing is it can sometimes get a little bit tricky of when to use it, when your opponent attacks it and then it gets flipped over and you gotta flip it and then it gets left unflipped. So use it with caution, because if it does get flipped over and then you use its effect, you can't use it again in that turn. So to flip it after you've used its effect, when it's already been flipped up, you'll leave yourself open for an attack if you don't have a card like Sword Sword Wheeling Light to protect yourself. So you really gotta watch out. I should have popped Ojama Trio before this, just in case he had summoned a lot of monsters. That was a misplay on my part. I would usually recommend using Ojama Trio as soon as you can. Whether or not you have Just Desserts set up or not, it's just really good to keep your opponent's side of the field in check, which is always something you want to do, regardless of any deck that you're really playing. You always want to control your own side of the field, as well as your opponent's. That's what really separates a good player, is being in control of every aspect of the duel, not just your own. You also have to really play it here as if you're playing against yourself on the other side. You have to wonder, what's my opponent going to do? You know, what can he do next turn? I should plan to see if my cards are still going to be on the field. I should always assume the worst so that I can plan ahead, which is really comes forth in a burn deck like this, because if you know, pop your wad and you're left with nothing in your hand, you're fucked, right? Like, you can't do anything. And if he negates all your combos and stuff, you have nothing and you're probably going to lose the duel. So it really takes a lot of practice. I think, you know, people like to hate on burn decks because it doesn't take very much skill, which I'll give them that, but people think they're also cheap. But I say that they're easily countered, you know. But you really need to know when to really go all in and when to start pushing for those combos that you need. But anyway, guys, you can see how quickly this happens. I had a Meteor trap card there that you use 2 cards and you can inflict 2,000 damage. Really good for setting up those combos to kill your opponent. But anyway, we're going to get in the recipes here. Blast Sphere, I have 2 of them. Really good for taking out big monsters. Obviously pretty self-explanatory what it does. It basically acts as an equip card if it's attacked and then destroys it. 2 Desk Koalas, I'm a little bit behind here, sorry. Gives 400 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. I have 2 of those as well. Lava Golem, only 1 of those because they're very specific instances that you're going to need them. Marshmallow, Lord Marshmallow, I have 2 of them because they're fucking great. Really no reason not to. Mecha Bunny is good for defense, and you also get some burn damage off of it because you can keep special summoning them if they're destroyed. Mecha Dog, sort of like Mecha Bunny, except you can hurt yourself with it if it gets destroyed by battle, but if it's a card effect, it only attacks your opponent's life points, so it's a good card, I would say. 2 Stealth Birds, really good because they're consistent damage most of the time. Chain Strike, really good for this kind of combo burn deck where you're relying a lot on trap cards to do a lot of burn damage to your opponent. It's really good. Mask of the Accursed, it's like a Fiendish Chain, except it's just a spell card, so I would recommend it because too many trap cards and you're going to be suffering. Nightmare Steel Cage, really good because you're not going to be doing much attacking, really. You could if you want to, I guess, but I wouldn't recommend it. Swords of Revealing Light, basically just to keep you safe. Wave Motion Cannon, I'm running 3 of them because these are terrific cards. Sadly, you didn't get to see the Judgment of Anubis setup that you should protect them with, but I'll explain that once the card comes up. Ceasefire, really good for seeing what your opponent has on there, as well as getting some of that damage off. It's always important, and because most of the monsters you're putting down are effect monsters, it really helps. Gravity Bind, a little bit behind again, guys, sorry, I'll try and catch up. Gravity Bind makes it so that your opponent can't attack. Always be safe with this deck. Jar of Greed helps to speed the deck up. Judgment of Anubis, now this is really important. This helps keep your Wave Motion Cannon safe from Mystical Typhoon and all that kind of stuff. Really useful card. Just Desserts, obviously you want to use those with Ojama Trio, really useful. Meteor Flare is good for getting those combo kills, like I said earlier. If you're about to kill your opponent but you need a little bit extra damage, that's the card for you. Mirror Force, 2 of those because if your opponent stacks up, you want to be able to beat them. Nightmare Wheel, 2 of them because if your opponent has a really strong monster in the field and you really can't have any other way of dealing with it, might as well just tie it up and not really worry about it. 2 Ojama Trios, that's all that's left. That's all that you can put in because it's an OP card. Scrap Iron Scarecrow, 2 of those. You can have 3, I don't know, I feel like that slows the deck a little bit, so I would stick with 2. Secret Barrel, it's just a nice kind of card to throw in there every once in a while if you have an opponent that's really spamming a lot of cards, filling up his field and his hand. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I know I promised you another God card video in the last one, the Slifer one. I am getting to that. You will see that next time. But that's going to be it for this video. Leave a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more of these. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So I will see you next time. Bye.